You're in a grocery store. You're tired. You have a list. You just want to get out. And then you hear it. A baby, 3 aisles over, crying, and your entire body changes before your brain even finishes a thought. Your shoulders tighten. Your head snaps toward the sound. Something pulls at you from the inside, some invisible wire, and for a moment, you forget everything else. The list, the tiredness, the fact that this is not your baby, not even close to your baby. You can't ignore it. And that's not a flaw. That's one of the oldest programs in the human animal, and it runs on every single one of us. Here's what's actually happening inside you when you hear a baby cry, and why the real answer is far stranger than anything you'd expect. Your brain is divided into systems that operate at different speeds. The slow system thinks, it reasons, it weighs options, but there's a faster system buried deep in the center of your skull that doesn't wait for permission. Neuroscientists call it the limbic system. Researchers like Joseph Ledoux at New York University spent decades mapping it, and what he found is this: before a single conscious thought arrives, your emotional brain has already responded. It has already decided the sound is important. It has already shifted your attention, spiked your stress hormones, and moved your body in the direction of the source. You didn't choose to react. The reaction came first. The awareness came second. Now here is where it gets stranger. A study published in the journal Current Biology, led by researcher Mireille Besson and her team at Aix-Marseille University, found that infant cries are processed differently in the adult brain than almost any other sound. Not differently in a subtle way, differently in a fundamental, cross-cultural, cross-language way that holds true whether you're a parent or not, whether you have ever held a baby or not. The brain devotes special attention circuitry to this particular frequency range. It can't help it. Why? Because a baby crying is, in evolutionary terms, an emergency broadcast system. Go back 200,000 years. Your ancestors lived in small groups, 10 people, 30 people, maybe 50 on a good season. Every single life in that group was irreplaceable. You lost one child, you lost a future hunter, a future gatherer, a future parent, a future brain carrying hard-won knowledge. You lost a percentage of your entire civilization. So, evolution didn't leave infant distress up to the goodwill of whoever happened to be nearby. It wired everyone nearby to respond. Every adult, every adolescent, every member of the group. Your nervous system is a communal alarm system, and a baby's cry is the trigger. That's not sentiment, that's engineering. But listen to what that means for you. Sitting in a grocery store in the modern world, your brain cannot tell the difference between that baby 3 aisles over and a baby in your ancestral camp who needs help right now. The context has changed. The brain has not. You are running 200,000-year-old software on a 21st century problem, and the software says, go, help. That sound means danger. This is what researchers call an evolved response, a behavior that was so useful for so long that it became automatic. James McKenna at the University of Notre Dame, one of the world's leading experts on infant parent sleep and caregiving, has documented how even the rhythms of adult breathing change in proximity to an infant in distress. The adult body synchronizes with the baby. It is not something you decide to do. It is something your body does to you. Now ask yourself this: when did you last feel something you genuinely could not override with logic? You know the crying baby is fine. You can see a parent rushing toward it. You understand there is nothing for you to do. And still, the discomfort doesn't leave until the crying stops. Your body is waiting for resolution, even when your mind knows none is needed. That is how deep this program runs. It bypasses reason. It bypasses context. It sits below all of that, closer to the floor of what you are. This is sometimes called the crying effect. In experiments where adults were exposed to recordings of infant cries versus other distressing sounds, alarms, adult screaming, sharp impacts, the infant cry produced uniquely heightened activation in regions of the brain associated with motor planning and caregiving impulse, not just emotional reaction. Planning. The brain was beginning to prepare a response before the person had even decided to respond. You were getting ready to help a baby you had never met and would never see. Think about what that means. Somewhere inside you, there is a caregiving engine that runs on a signal no one taught you to recognize. You were not shown a baby cry and told to care. You were not conditioned through reward or punishment. The caring came standard. It was already there, installed before you had any choice in the matter. And it isn't limited to babies, you know. Research in developmental psychology has consistently shown that adults respond to the cries of unfamiliar infants with almost identical urgency as they do to the cries of infants they are related to. The brain doesn't run a quick background check. It doesn't ask whose baby this is or whether you have a personal stake. It simply hears the frequency, matches it to the pattern it has carried since before you have any memory, and fires. Now here's the part that stops most people cold. This reflex, This deep, involuntary, cross-cultural lurch toward a crying baby is not just about babies. It is evidence of something much larger. It is evidence that you are, at your core, a social animal built for communal care. Not just family care, not just neighbor care. Communal care, the care of strangers, of people you have no genetic investment in, of lives that, by pure market logic, have nothing to do with yours. You were built to help. That is what your reaction in the grocery store is telling you. That is the message encoded in that spike of discomfort, that turning of the head, that tightening of the chest. Your nervous system is reminding you what you are for. Primatologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy spent much of her career studying what she calls cooperative breeding, the pattern, extremely rare in nature, in which members of a group other than the biological parents care for offspring. Humans are one of the only species on the planet who do this at scale. Grandmothers, aunts, neighbors, community members all investing time and energy in children who are not their own. Hrdy argues that this was not a cultural invention. It was a biological strategy, and the emotional machinery that supports it, including your visceral response to a stranger's baby cry, is part of the same architecture. You didn't evolve to be independent. You evolved to be interconnected. The independence came later, layered on top, but underneath, you are still the creature who couldn't let a crying baby go unanswered. There is something both humbling and clarifying about that. Think about the modern world for a moment. You live in cities filled with strangers. You are told to mind your own business. You are designed to pass through crowds without making eye contact, without getting involved, without letting the lives of people you don't know become your concern. And still, when a baby cries, something in you breaks through all of that. Every wall, every layer of social training, every habit of urban detachment. That sound gets through anyway. Because the sound is older than the city. It is older than civilization. It is older than any idea you have ever been taught about what your responsibilities are and where they end. The sound is ancient, and so is the part of you that hears it. You could not ignore that baby if you tried. Not really, not completely, not in any way that reaches all the way down to where you actually live. And maybe that is not a weakness. Maybe it is the most honest thing about you. Maybe it is the thing that is most worth keeping. The next time you're somewhere quiet and a child cries nearby, before you can stop yourself, before a single thought arrives, notice the moment. Notice how the reaction comes first. Notice that the caring came standard. You didn't choose to hear it, but you heard it anyway, just like every human who has ever lived.